Alrighty, what is going on, YouTube, Discord family? Welcome back to the edition of Market Review with me, T. Hobbs. Man, what a crazy first 5 months of the year. This has been absolutely crazy. Market's been rallying something ridiculous, and I just like to say thank you guys so much on behalf of myself and Justin and the Trader Shop. We're headed toward 1,500 subs this week. Videos are going crazy. Live streams are getting better. We're growing as a community. We're growing as traders, and we just want to thank you for showing up every day and following our journey as we grow as traders. So please make sure you tip the barbers, aka hit the like and subscribe buttons, turn those notification bells on so you get notified every time we go live or put out a video. Also, consider joining the Discord. It's another way you can support the channel. The Discord link is in the description down below. It's $15 a week, $40 a month. Prices will go up in the future. In addition to that, go watch all the videos, man, and use the Apex links that you see scrolling down below if you're already using Apex. A lot of different things they got going over there, 90% off sales. So anyway, now that we got it all the way, let's jump right into what everybody came here to watch, which is the status of NQ and ES, right? As you guys know, I trade NQ as well as ES, but I mostly trade NQ, but I do a top-down analysis every single week since January 21st. I had to go back and look at the playlist because I was like, man, when was the first time I posted one of these? I always do them on Sunday. I decided to start posting them on YouTube because I was sharing them with just my Discord. So I post them on YouTube every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested, definitely start watching these. I mean, they've been accurate 100%. Like I'm not even just saying that like to brag. Like I went back and watched all of them. Like they've all been pretty freaking accurate. So I myself even go back and watch these. So, anyway, let's get right into it. All right. So first and foremost, what do we have over here on the NASDAQ? Oh, NASDAQ's to the right. The S&P 500 is to the left. They both look pretty freaking identical on the monthly chart. As we talk about this cup and handle from heaven every single week, it's just amazing to look back on this cup and handle. It's probably, in my opinion, the best cup and handle of all times, right? Like this thing delivered and just kept delivering, right? We had a nice, beautiful cup back down here. We pulled back in around October, December, and we just have never looked back. We've had one red month since October. Right? Since November. October was the basing candle. Since November, we've had one red month. And this month doesn't seem like it's going to be turning red anytime soon. Structurally, if we look at the candles here, the bulls are fully in control of this month. We have 12 more days, 2 more weeks, and a couple more catalysts that I'll go over toward the end of the video. But the pure structure, the fact that the bulls were able to defend all the way down here at 17,113, and not just defend, but take us all the way back above the all-time high and set a new all-time high. Like that is very, very bullish, right? Like you cannot deny that, right? Over here on ES, the same thing occurred. The bulls defended down here at the low at 49.70, which was about 50% of this previous monthly candle, and then came all the way back to put in yet another new all-time high, which is something we talked about last week. I was thinking that we would go much higher based off the weekly 3%, right, that we normally print on NQ. And we ended up doing 3.29% overall on the week, but we pulled back down a little bit to get there. And we'll go over that here on the weekly. So last week, my prediction was that we would probably push above all-time highs and potentially start testing like 18.9 into like 19,000, right? My thought process was that we would have a price range above the high, right, of about 3.2%, right? So if we came back down here to roughly about 3%, something like that, 3.29, 18.923, I think was my price prediction. What we ended up doing is we ended up trading down into 50% of this candle, this previous weekly candle right here. And then we ended up buying the market back up 3.32% or 3.29%, something like that. And we ended up at around 18.7. So percentages wise, we were right on point. As far as like how far we went, you never know, right? But we give it our best shot. And again, levels that we were playing off of to get there definitely held. So if we take a look at the weekly candle over here on ES and NQ, you see more of the same that we saw on the monthly candle, right? Nothing has changed in regards to the market status. We got a little bit of a pullback that we'll see on the 4-hour and the daily. Looks a little bit stronger than what we see, meaning buyers were able to push back above the high. Now they're getting rejected at the high. The question is it a retracement? Is it a potential start of a sell-off? From a bearish standpoint, you just don't see any reason to be bearish on this yet. Like, you just don't. Not on the weekly, right? Like, you can, when we get closer to price, maybe, but on the weekly, there's nothing on the weekly that tells me it's time to start selling. So obviously we have some catalysts coming up this week, and we'll, you know, play it by ear from there. But let's go to the daily and see if we can find anything that's telling us anything other than what we're talking about right now, which is being very bullish on this market, right? A lot of people through Twitter, through social media, they look at this and they're looking for ways to get short, right? And I think that's just incorrect, right? Like, I'm not here to judge you, whatever you want to do. I'm not saying that you can't short the market, but you need to understand that this was your opportunity to get short in here, right? And once the market put in this high above here and then got above this level, which is what we talked about for the last 2 weeks, we talked about this being the floor, a simple pullback inside of weekly demand, which is what we got, right? And then potentially us pushing back above. And if we got above this consolidation, I said, if we get above this consolidation, we're going to a new high. That's it, period, point blank. And that's exactly what we got. So now the question is, if we come up here to completely reverse, I doubt it, right? But at the same time, it's something that we got to discuss. So if we look over here on ES and NQ, this is where they start to differ a little bit, right? NQ, when it came up here to the high, right? We came up to the high, we printed this very bearish candle here, right? Pretty bearish, right? And then we tried to go back up, buyers tried to go back up and defend it, and they could only get to about 50% of it, right? Which is an indication that we could continue to sell off opening tomorrow, or, you know, Monday or Tuesday or something like that, right? However, on ES, right, we go over here to ES. ES also printed a similar bearish candle. However, instead of printing the doji candle that NQ printed, ES printed a beautiful rally candle, right? With a nice long wick at the bottom, which is an indicator of not only buyers being back in control, but the close of the candle here is an indication that the buyers were fully in control at the close. See, on NQ, the buyers and sellers agreed on price, right? The body of the candle is sitting right here. We just created a doji. But on ES, the body of the candle indicates that the buyers were fully in control at the close. So we'll see how we open up on Monday. I'm very curious to see if we reject this area, right? If I was looking for rejections on the daily, it'd be about 50% of this candle here on ES. So I'd be looking for rejections at or around 53.39, 53.40, that area right there. And then on NQ, I don't know if NQ trades higher from here, right? But if they are going to trade higher and look for bearish rejections, I'd be looking at 725 on a retest. But I actually like us rejecting right where we are, right? Like 50% of this entire candle sits it back basically exactly where we tap back into at 684. So I like to see NQ trade down a little bit further just for my liking, right? Not because I'm thinking we're turning bearish, but because I think that if we start to trade down a little bit, then we'll have more room to bounce and we'll find more buyers down a little bit lower. So let's go down to the 4-hour, and then I'll bring in my concepts so you guys can kind of see how I'm looking at price this week, right? So let me turn these on here. Go back to normal. Boop, here. And over here on ES, on NQ, we'll turn those on as well. So we can just take a look at some of my drawings here. You guys can kind of get an idea of how I'm looking at the market. So a couple levels stand out over here on NQ, and it's this level right here. This white line right here is an indication of 50% of the previous week's candle. So this week that just closed, this area right here at 18,499 is the previous week's candle. And if we go down to a lower time frame on the hour, you'll see that there's a nice demand zone right here as well, right? With NVIDIA earnings coming up this week, right, which is something we'll discuss with the fundamentals, A lot of times what you'll see in preparation for the earnings, the market doesn't go up higher. It actually ends up trading lower, right? And you can see on these 4-hour candles, although we're selling, we're still buying as we start to sell down, which is another thing we'll discuss when we talk about the VIX. I would like to see us sell down maybe into 18,430, 18,499, somewhere into this area, right? Before we start to trade higher for NVIDIA earnings. Now, I don't know what the earnings are going to be, but I do know this. The market follows structure, and the structure is very, very bullish right now. So unless NVIDIA is going to come with something horrible on their earnings, I'm just betting that we're going to continue to go higher. Now, if we look at ES, now, although these candles are very bullish in nature, I'm not going to lie, they're extremely bullish in nature. I need to see ES trade back above the all-time high, right? We need to get back above 53.49, where I'm anticipating basically a pullback, right? A retest of this 2-hour supply zone at 53.35 to roughly about 53.50, failure, and then start to trade us back down to about 52.77 and then or 53.03 area, right? Like somewhere in this area is where I'm looking for price to hold. I'd be okay with a little bit more of a sell-off, but this is ideally where I'm looking for, because this is roughly about 50% of this entire move, right? From Tuesday, May 14th, right? All the way up to all-time highs, puts us right at 52.84.25 on the SPY. And then on NQ, it's more of the same, right? We talked about this weekly level right here, right? But I'm looking at this from here, right? All the way up to all-time highs. That's 50%. It puts us in that 18,464. That's why I said 18,500 through any of this, like any of this area, I'd be looking for a bounce. Now, to the bearish case, right? Because this could go bearish, right? I'm not going to just give you bull scenarios. I'm following structure. So that's the reason why I'm more bullish than bearish. But the bearish case, if you're going to be a bear, you want to see price reject at 18,708, right? Before we get to the all-time high, or before we break through this last supply zone at 18,723. This is a valid supply zone on 1 hour. We broke through structure. It's a valid high. So you want to see price remain below this level. And then when we get up here, just like I'm predicting over here on ES, when we get up here, you want to see a massive sell-off, right? Because that sell-off needs to be strong enough to start taking out this structure here at 18,547 and start to trade us back down to 18,438 area, right? Now that's to the bearish side. Now the bullish case scenario is if we don't sell down to start the week, we're going to start rocket shipping out of here, right? My thesis is if we start to buy early, right, and we get above all-time highs, then my same thesis is going to apply before NVIDIA earnings, that we sell down, right, before going higher. But I'm looking at us selling down back into this consolidation, right? On ES, I'm looking at us selling back into this consolidation. Just depends on how the market wants to play it. But if we start to buy up, we start the day on Monday and we start to buy up and we're well above all-time highs, even before NVIDIA earnings, I'm going to anticipate a retest back into this area. And then for NVIDIA's earnings, taking us much, much higher, right? In regards to my predictions on how high we're going to go, I'm just going to look at the weekly candle, right? And just, give you that, right? Because that's all you can really do if you're trying to decide like, okay, where can we go? The last time we had NVIDIA's earnings, we rallied about 4%, right? The market rallied 4% in that week, right? So let's just take, the market rallies about 3%, 3.2% per week. We rallied 4% for NVIDIA's earnings last time. So let's just go with 3.5%, right? Like that's modest, right? We just do 3.5%, 3.48 sits us at 19,142. At the very least, if we're going to be bullish this week, I anticipate us seeing at least 19,000. That's kind of what I'm looking at this week. Again, nothing is set in stone. These are just my predictions. I love doing top-down analysis because it helps me get a good idea of where price is, and it gives me a baseline that I myself can go back and watch if, I'm kind of thinking about what price is going to be doing the rest of the week, right? You should always trade intraday with your own plan, but it doesn't hurt to take a step back and look at what the macro is doing. So as I mentioned before, what is the plan for NVIDIA, right? If we come over here, right, and we talk about NVIDIA, these are all the stocks that I watched throughout the week. It's the Mag 7, but you can see in 3 days, NVIDIA is expected to report, right? They're expected to beat massively because they've been beating. They've been on nothing but an earnings beat, right? Ever since Q1, right? So the market is expecting them to beat yet again, right? So the question is, if they beat, right, where can they go, right? What is the estimate at the end of the year? Like, what is the end of the year estimate for this company? I can tell you this because I pay attention to it. This number is steadily increasing, right? It used to be 400, then it was 600, right? When I say this number, I'm talking about this number right here, right? It used to be 600, then it was 700, then it was 800, then it was 950, then it was 1,000. Now it's up again to 1,026.96 at 11% from here. We're in May, and they're predicting the end of the year price at 1,026. The more important part is, what does the forecast say for whether or not you should buy it? It's a strong buy. You know why it's a strong buy? Because the market capitalization is only at 2.3 trillion, and this company is expected to have anywhere between a $4 and $5 trillion market cap, right? Therefore, even though the price is at 1,000, it's still going to be a strong buy, even when it gets to 12 and 1,300, because they're going to split the stock, right, to make it cheaper, right? But the market capitalization is what they're really targeting. That's what this price is referencing. It's not really referencing how much it is per share, because big money don't care about that. What they care about is how much is the market value for the stock. When this market value starts to reach the $3 and $4 trillion mark, then it's probably going to taper off that strong buy territory. But until that happens, it's going to continue to be a strong buy, even if it gets too expensive for the average retail investor to purchase, right? One of the other things I'll talk about in regards to structure, in regards to the market, I watched the volatility index. It's the fear and greed index, right? It lets us know when buyers or sellers are strong in the market. Now, this is the weekly time frame on the volatility index. And what this tells me is forever, basically, it's basically the inverse of the NASDAQ. We've been basically selling down, which is an indication that the market has been buying up. Now, here is a red flag for all of my bulls out there. The fact that we keep continuing to hold 13.615 inside of this weekly demand zone above all-time lows could be an indication that we're starting to accumulate some type of sell side position. Now, looking at the structure of this particular candle, I would tend to say that we're probably not building a sell side position. We're probably looking to sell this down and take this low, right? I'll be watching for the volatility index to start to spike throughout the week in the beginning because of NVIDIA's earnings, because of all of the speakers that I'll go through next. But if this thing starts to trade below 12, that means that the market is about to, or has already rallied. So I'll be paying attention to this on the 1 hour chart. I don't watch it on the weekly. I'm showing it to you guys on the weekly, but I'm just giving you an idea of what the sentiment is, because this is a really good way to look at the sentiment, right? If you look at the monthly or the weekly candles, I mean, just look at the monthly. It looks deadly. It looks like we're about to end this month putting in all-time lows. That's all I can say, right? All-time lows sit about 10.25, but it makes sense because the market is sitting at all-time highs and looking like it wants to go higher. So look for the VIX to potentially make all-time lows this month or next month. And that'll be, like I said, another indication that we're going to continue to go. Every time we sell off, I'm watching the volatility index. And the only thing I'm getting from the volatility index is that the market is still bullish, because when we sell down, the volatility index is also selling down or running flat, which tells me that there's not an aggressive sell side position being placed into this market, AKA there's not a lot of fear in the market. As we move on, we take a look at the last thing on my list, which is news, right? You understand how the market works. You understand that fundamentals play a very strong part, a major part in getting buyers to be interested in buying, getting sellers to be fearful and start letting go of their positions. Well, this week should have either a ton of fear or a lot of greed, right? It's not because we have red folder news, but it's because the market has sent their goons to this podium, right? When I say their goons, I'm talking about FOMC members, right? Monday at 9 or 8:45, right when the market opens, right? Or right before the market opens, Bostic is speaking. 9 a.m. Waller is speaking. You know, Barr is speaking, Jefferson is speaking, Mester is speaking. That's just Monday, right? We roll into Tuesday and we got more of the same. Waller, Barkin, Williams, Bostic, right? In addition, we got Barr speaking at 11:45, Mester speaking at 7 p.m. They just won't get off the podium, right? All in preparation for us finding out what they really was talking about in their FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday, May 22nd, which again lines up with, you guessed it, NVIDIA's earnings, which exactly lines up with, if we go all the way back to February 21st on your chart, you'll see that this all lined up the same way last time. So meeting minutes followed by NVIDIA earnings is going to make this market extremely volatile going into the close. So start preparing your portfolios, start preparing your mindset for, okay, Wednesday's going to be a day, right? It's definitely going to be a day. Obviously, Thursday we start finishing off the week with unemployment claims, right? Which have started to rise, which is actually good for the market. We got manufacturing PMI on Thursday, which is going to be a mover of the market as well. And then Friday, we end the week with consumer sentiment. If you guys know anything about consumer sentiment, it's going to also move the market. So this week, this is going to be like the last week, in my opinion, of volatility before June, right? Because there's not really much on the docket after this week, right? So this week should be the week of extreme volatility before we go into somewhat of consolidation, in my opinion. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I really hope that you guys are learning something, or, you know, maybe I'm providing some type of value to your journey. I'm here to help as much as I can, right? I'm here to offer my thoughts and to share my journey with you guys. Please don't forget, we stream live every single Monday through Friday. We're live for about 3 hours, 30 minutes before the market opens, and then 3 hours throughout the market trading. We're giving, you know, our thoughts on the markets. We give our pre-market plans on the markets. We basically give you everything that we got, right? And, you know, that's not going to be forever. So if you guys are interested in something like that, please don't hesitate to stop by the shop. Don't forget to tip the barbers, aka hit the like and subscribe button. My name is T. Hobbs. This is the Trader Shop, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.